Hi there. At the Foundation for Family Affairs, we believe that familiarity should breed intimacy. Yes, to say familiarity should breed contempt. But if you have known your spouse for that long, for the number of years you've been together, it should breed intimacy. You're welcome to this channel. This is Foundation for Family Affairs. And at Foundation for Family Affairs, our mission is to connect hearts and raise healthy families. I am Chidi. Akunna.
And I'm Victor Akunna.
So let's talk about what we have for you today. Having been together, like I was saying earlier, we should learn to pause and celebrate how far we've come. Okay, in the course of doing that, we will be building intimacy. I'd like you to say something to our audience.
Intimacy is so powerful, it's so important that it's a critical ingredient in you achieving anything. But it's not something that just fall on us. It's not something that we just wake up one day and we'll have close intimacy with our spouses. All right, it's something that we have to work on. It's something that we have to do. So this video is about helping us to celebrate the little things that kind of create that glue that brings us together as a couple. All right, for us to be able to achieve the purposes of our marriage.
So we have looked into our lives and we thought, we will put out there 5 things we're celebrating each other. As we do this, you might have many more. Feel free to drop them in the comment section if you care to share. All right. So the first point we have for you today is that we look at ourselves and we celebrate the fact that we have a spouse who is intentionally involved and invested in our growth, in our happiness, and in our well-being. How beautiful is that? You know, sometimes we forget, okay, as we get busy, as we carry on, we just forget that we are together. The fact that he supports my growth, he is concerned, he is invested in my well-being. In fact, when I think about well-being, the fact that I have peace in my marriage is beyond words. You know, how do you capture that? Okay, my mental health is in place because I'm married to a good spouse, to a good man. You see, so we thinking about it, just like, oh wow, he's very invested in my growth. Whatever he thinks would move me forward, whatever he thinks will get me to the next phase in whatever I'm doing, he will put his heart and soul into it to make sure I get up there. And I appreciate that a lot personally. Okay, but as we go through this, it's not enough to just talk about it to yourself. You know, when you think about it and you're grateful for it, you know, you put your hand to your heart and you're like, oh wow, thank you, Lord. Okay, but you need to communicate it to your spouse. Let your spouse know, oh wow, look at who I've become by reason of growth because of your support.
And I can say that about you as well. I remember when I was trying to complete my PhD. It was one of the toughest time in my life then, you know, and I see sometimes trying to meet a deadline, my wife will be up till 12 a.m. at night and she's still going to work very early in the morning. We're editing and we're just trying to put it together, you know, and I remember the final day that I had to submit, she was on until maybe, I can't remember, you know, countless times like that where she just said, you know what, this is what you want to do. I'm going to be 101% behind you. You know, there are many projects that we've been able to do together. You know, when she's shown herself beyond reasonable doubt. She's shown herself over and over again to be there when I need her the most. So sometimes this is something we expect from someone we love. And so we take it for granted. We take it for granted that you have someone who is invested in your happiness. No, you don't want to see when couples are really fighting. They are invested in causing pain. You have a spouse who is invested in making you smile, making you, you know, be the best version of yourself. You need to celebrate that. Like she said, don't just, you know, appreciate that to yourself, you know, celebrate your spouse and call the spouse. This is something I think we need to celebrate in this marriage. All right. And encourage your children to do the same as well. Celebrate one another, you know, what you do, what you achieve as a family. Yeah.
Okay, and if you're there, maybe you're watching this and you think, "Oh, intimacy is lacking in our marriage. I don't know what's happening." These might be points to take on board. Okay, they might help you. All right. So the next point we have for you is you need to celebrate the goals you have achieved. Boy, we have achieved much. You know, as we think through the years, it's like, wow, look at where we are. This is certainly not where we started. Okay, you need to celebrate that. Let's get conscious. Let's be intentional about it. Don't forget. Don't forget where you've come from, how far you've come.
Wow. I remember the very first time, we sat, we've been talking, then after we got married, we sat on your family table. I would say, this is what we want to do. This is how much we want to earn. This is what we want to do at this time. It sounded far-fetched.
Yes.
It sounded like, wow, so big. Can this ever be done?
Yes.
And then when we eventually got married and we relocated, I remember the very first goal we set for each other that we went, and then we just told ourselves that these are the goals for the week. We're going to try to get this done, get that done, get that done. We've never done that before. I've always been setting goals as an individual. She has been setting goals as an individual. Now we're married. We're trying to set a goal as a couple. We try to build that into our family culture. And then that week we're just watching, and then we just said, check. You won't believe the amount of energy, positive energy, the momentum that created within our marriage and how that brought us together, because we're in a very bad state, then in a really low state. We just said check. And from there, we just built that into developed into a momentum that helped us to achieve even much more bigger things. Some things in our own career, things in our child life, things in our own lives as a family, even as a ministry, many things that we've been able to do. So celebrate the fact that you have a spouse that both of you can set a goal. You can set a goal together and achieve that goal. All right. One of the reasons why that is important, because it helps you to focus on the same thing. All right. She is so gifted, so talented. She has very fantastic critical skills, very fantastic. She has a lot. So once we set a goal and she brings the sophisticatedness, I don't know if I said the word right, to the goal, it's once you set a goal for my wife, oh my God, that this is what we are going to do. She's not going to rest until it's done. Why? She has that staying power when people have left, everyone has abandoned it. She has that consistency. So she's a rock, So same thing for when you have a spouse. Yeah, it's true. That's what you are really, So when you look at your spouse and see what do they bring to the goal setting, and appreciate that in them. Appreciate that. All right. Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing we celebrate is our friendship.
Yeah.
I mean, friendship is special. It is so beautiful. I think we keep putting this out there. To have someone in whose presence you're most authentic.
Yes.
I am my true self with him. That's a very beautiful state. Okay, so if you're not there yet, you can get there.
Absolutely.
Okay, get intentional about it. So to think that I have someone with whom I can share a laugh, I can share a joke, and he gets it. You can look at each other and wink, and he gets what you're saying. It's like, wow, it's so beautiful. It's childlike, and I mean that's the way I love it. I want that. Okay, that I'm like a child. I'm at peace. It's bliss. Yes.
And this there, right, what we just talked about is one of the things that even helps you as a person to improve your mental health.
Yes.
Where you are not constantly worked up, where you crack a joke and your spouse does not feel offended because they misunderstood the joke. You are with someone who is your friend.
Oh, yes.
And even much more, your best friend. Oh my word. We need to celebrate that. Some couples are married, but they are not friends. They're just there, just to, they are out of duty, or, and they do they play their roles well. They don't have hiccups, but they are not friends. They are not best friends. They can be vulnerable with each other. They are guarded around each other for different reasons. All right. So to have a spouse that can be your friend, that you can be vulnerable with, that you can share with, you can share your joys, you can share your achievement at work, you can share your aspirations, You can share your fears. You can share your dreams, and both of you can build something together. We shouldn't take that for granted. I assure you, it's not something that we should take for granted. It's something that we must celebrate and accentuate and bring to the forefront for you guys to see that something is working.
Yeah. Okay. So we also celebrate. I celebrate the fact that he still finds me attractive
Ooh.
and mentally stimulating.
Yes.
I think that's what.
Yes.
Well, I'll let you speak for yourself. But
Yes.
you always tell me
Yes.
that's what you find most attractive.
Yes.
Okay, the mental
Yes.
part.
Yes.
Okay, I love it, and
Yes.
I want to celebrate that.
It's very lovely for me personally. It's one of the things that I like in people are people that are really intelligent, people that you don't have to explain the basics for them to get it. I really like it, because I for a long time I live a lot in my head. I'm trying to explain complex things and the person just gets it and just flows with me. That's very important. So that's one of the things I find attractive about her. I find her physically attractive.
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I find you
of
physically
course.
attractive.
Of course, I find you physically attractive. I find your person attractive. Why? Because sometimes people can love their spouses but may not like their spouses. They're not exactly the same all the time. Sometimes you might love your spouse because love is a decision that you make to love and to nurture and to build this person up. But you might not like them. You might not like how they talk. You might not like how they do things. You might not like how they, their priorities, how they, generally. So, but that leads to the other point you talked about being friends. When you are a really close friend with someone, that means you like the person, you enjoy the person's company. I remember some years ago I was talking with a woman, and she said, you know what, that anytime she's around her spouse, they fight. So she liked the fact that they live separately. So once in a while when he comes, they have a good time and then he goes away. That's how they enjoy their own relationship. They don't like being in the same space. It means they are not friends, but they are married. They have children, and they are, they don't have quarrels, but they are not friends. So to have someone who is your friend and you find mentally stimulating, you find physically attractive, you find you find them as a person, as an individual attractive. I think it is something that we should celebrate, really.
Yes. And when I think I've seen you look your best in suits, you step out in t-shirts. I'm like, there we go. That's the dude. I love that. Okay, so the last point we have for you today, yes, it's the last point, is we celebrate how we manage conflict.
Yes.
No, conflict is not allowed. Like, we try as much as possible. And and in addressing this, we did this proactively. I remember the first few months, right, of marriage, we stumbled on this message and how to manage conflict, and we realized, okay, there are 3 ways to go about it. You can either do it proactively or reactively or radioactively. So proactive is just you sitting down together and talking, preempting situations. If this happens, what would we do? Okay. Another point, don't forget, they would say, oh, you are still at your honeymoon phase, beg your pardon. I'm still in my honeymoon phase after over 10 years, yes. Okay. But at that point, I think it was just the best time to do this. So if you're a new couple or an intending couple, we'll put this out to you as well. You may want to consider it. Preempt situations. So that helped us, really talk about things. I got his opinion on different things. I got to truly know him. There are layers to knowing your spouse. Okay. I got to truly know him. So that kind of created a base in our relationship. I'll just talk about the reactive and radioactive really quickly. Okay, reactive is you sit down and things happen, and of course you react. Okay, and when you're reacting, it's not always positive. Okay, because it's like it just hits you and you go poo. Rather than respond, you react. You see, an example would be someone says something to you, rather than just give a natural response that might deflect the issue, the annoyance that is brewing. Okay, you just react and you go head on. Okay, that's not a good state in the relationship. That's not to say we have moments where we don't quite get each other, but that's why we're saying how we manage conflict. We calm down at that point, like we have rules in place in the relationship, and whoever breaks it gets punished. So you've got to live up to it. Yes, no name calling, no raising of voice. You raise your voice, don't worry, we'll deal with that later. You will serve your punishment. Okay, and then when it's radioactive, it's really hot. Okay, everything just erupts. Everything leads to an eruption, and that's because issues have not been addressed. It is important that when your spouse does something, even if it's just a little thing you don't quite understand or you didn't feel okay about the way it went, it's good to talk about it. You leave it, over time resentment will start to build.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's good that, and you see, it takes us back to what we're talking about, where friendship, okay, at that place you're really vulnerable. You can share how you feel. I don't like how you do this. Can we talk about it? And your spouse would also be open to having that discussion. Really important. So how do you manage conflict in your relationship? Because we know this is one area that if a lot of couples get right, then they will have a good sale. Really.
Absolutely. This is one area that if a lot of couples get right, they will find, smooth sailing. Because the key thing about one of the things that we celebrate is that, we've not allowed conflict to escalate to the point where it's get out of hand. Not that we don't have conflicts. Conflict is not necessarily bad. It's the way we manage it that makes it either, a stepping stone or a stumbling block. All right. So for us, there are areas where we disagree in the past. But because we disagreed, we now find out that, we have these areas of differences. Because, like you said, there are layers in knowing your spouse. All right. For the area of finance, for example, there are layers of knowing your. Now we have a system of managing finance. But at the beginning, it wasn't there because we were coming from various backgrounds, different backgrounds. Okay. So, but as you begin to live together, you begin to build oneness, not the same. All right. We can never be the same. I will never change to look like her, and I don't want to be, and I don't want her to be like me, because I don't want to have two of me's in a relationship. All right, because that means I'll be losing the beauty she brings. All right, so but in the process of becoming one on finance, becoming one on parenting, becoming one on ministry, becoming one on anything that we're doing together, it takes a lot of discussion, it takes a lot of fine-tuning, it takes a lot of alignment. And so for that to happen, conflict is likely to happen. All right. So that's why we said we celebrate the fact that despite the fact that we've gone through a lot of phases to get here. I mean, we've been friends since 2008. Now we've been married.
Friends since 2006.
2006, actually. I beg your pardon. No, 2005. Yeah, I left in 2006. Yeah, 2005. So we'll be friends in 2005. We started a relationship 2008. Yeah, that's why I had to hit my head. We started a relationship officially 2008, and then married. So what I'm trying to say is that we've been together for a while to be able to get to that point where, despite how long you've been together, you've not had conflict that escalated. Escalation meaning you guys now, everybody around your neighborhood hears you. People in diaspora hears you. No, that's not the ideal situation. So if that's not happening to you, it's not happening in your marriage, celebrate that. All right? And be intentional about making sure that doesn't escalate. Sometimes that has nothing to do with the fault of one of the spouses. All right? It may just be one person who just decide. But the fact that it did not happen, celebrate that fact and focus on what is working. Yeah, very important.
Okay, we have loved sharing these points. These are things we celebrate. What do you celebrate?
What do you celebrate?
Yeah, so you may want to get the discussion started. Talk with your spouse. What do you celebrate? What's so special about our relationship? We have loads more we could share, but we're capping it at 5. Okay, so this is why we invite you to subscribe to our channel if you are yet to do that, and turn on the bell next to it so you're notified when we drop our content. It's been a pleasure doing this. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.